May I have your permission to record you for this interview?
Yes.
May I please ask your name?
My name is Lara.
And your occupation?
I work at a credit union,
And what city do you call home?
Blanchard and Six Lakes.
Okay. How would you describe yourself?
I describe myself as a mom and just a middle-aged lady.
Okay, how do you feel today?
I feel good. It's a good sunny day.
How do you really feel today?
I really feel good. It's a nice day.
I would like to ask you to tell me a story about a difficult time in your life when you received someone's compassion.
A difficult time in my life when I received compassion. When I had a lot of trouble with my back and I had to go to work still, and my coworkers would do things like I'd pull up to the sidewalk and they would take my car and park it in a parking spot, and they would take my coffee cup and go get me coffee when I was out, or they would bring me my papers from the printer, and a lot of stuff that they didn't have to do but they just did it because they knew it was hard for me to walk around.
Make it more comfortable for you?
Yes. And it was stuff that I didn't really think about otherwise, but when they started doing it for me, I thought it was really amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. When you remember the compassion that was shown to you, how do you feel about reliving that memory?
It makes me feel good because they cared enough to do things to try to help me out.
And kind of went out of their way for you?
Definitely.
Can you tell me the story of a time when you offered compassion to someone?
Oh gosh. Let me think. Yeah, I guess like when my friend was going through a hard time and moved out of her house, and so I tried to spend extra time with her to make the transition easier and her more comfortable, and her to not be lonely because she'd never been living alone before. She lived with her family and then went on to live with her kids and husband family. So I felt like that was the time of showing compassion because I felt bad for her situation.
Mm-hmm. And you helped her out,
Yeah.
You think it helped?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, because she would be real sad, and then we'd do things and it would take her mind off from her sadness and her troubles at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The definition of compassion is relieving somebody's suffering, or kind of. And so that's a good example because you did help her. So. Is there a time when you needed compassion and didn't receive it?
That's a hard one. I feel like because I have such good people in my life, I always have somebody who's there.
Right.
And probably the only time that I would have needed it and not gotten it is if I didn't really tell or, let anyone know that I needed it. So I can't really think of a specific moment that I needed it and somebody rejected it. Because
okay, and so the next question is, why do you think this is? But it's because
I think because I didn't, right? I just held it in or didn't share that I needed it.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. Is there a time when you wish you would have shown more compassion but didn't?
Yes, I can think of a time when my neighbor it has to do with the whole back thing again, but before I ever had a problem with my back, and and she did, and I didn't get it. I can think of two things. I didn't understand. I'm like, your back hurts. Come on, let's go for a walk. I want you to go walk with me, because that was what we did together. And and I was Like, how could it be that bad? Like,
Yeah.
your back hurts, but let's go. But she couldn't. And so then thinking back after I had the similar kind of problem, then I was like, oh, now I get it. Similar kind of thing with people with like anxiety and stuff. When I was younger, I did not understand that at all. I never had any of those issues. And so I was just thought, well, why can't you just like change the way you think, or, you know, do something that makes you happy? And then as I got older, I got lucky enough to understand what anxiety is like. And then like, oh, that was not fair to think that they could just control it.
Right.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Do you think that compassion is important?
I do.
In what ways is it important?
I think it helps people, it helps the person giving compassion to feel good about helping someone, and people need compassion and to get through their situations.
Do you think that sometimes we show too much compassion?
I think the only way you could show too much compassion if this was somehow negatively affecting you in the end, like if you were giving too much that it was hurting you or someone else because you were being too compassionate to somebody. But otherwise I wouldn't think so, unless it affects somebody else badly.
Right. If you were to offer some words of wisdom about compassion, what would they be?
Maybe just always try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes for a second when you feel like, you know, they're just being whiny or baby, or it's not that big of a deal. Try to put yourself in their shoes and think about what you would need and how somebody else has helped you.
Okay, that was all the questions. So thank you for letting me interview you.
You're welcome.